CX Centric Conversation.
We have a very interesting topic, and it's always kind of an interesting debate. Is CX an art or a science? You know, it's artistic in the sense of it's doing the right thing for people. And what we're trying to do is reduce the stress and friction that people have, and we're trying to alter feelings and perceptions that people have towards a company. So in that way, it's very just artistic. But then you have customer experience management, which is very much scientific. It's this idea of we grow the business through earning the right with our existing customer base. It's how we fuel the acquisition engine. It is how we earn the right to grow the business. And there's so much science that goes into that change management aspect of ultimately improving the customer's journey. So it kind of goes back and forth, but I love talking about the ROI of CX because in my mind, this science right here gives us the capability to do the art. It's like paying dividends. When we invest in this area, when we get this right, it earns the longevity that is required to do CX work very well and do it over time. The runway for a CX initiative is like 2 to 3 years to be able to really understand and establish the voice of customer program, be able to make the right changes in the experience engineering category, be able to measure those changes and ultimately alter your strategy to see the benefits of that. It takes time. And the only way that you're going to earn that patience from your executive team is by demonstrating the results, the ROI along the way, and then ultimately the significant payout down the road. So this is really critical that we get this right. Very good. So a little bit about Officium. It's an awesome company. Yeah, I've been here for about a year and a half. Came in as the CXO, and we do all kinds of interesting things in the CX space. It's a CX lab, a CX incubator. We've got Connect, which is connecting great talent with great brands and doing that through burst capacity and decentralizing wealth and bringing great jobs to places and communities that historically may not have had that. And we have our Transform brand, which is the consulting, the giving you a CX transformation roadmap. We've got maturity workshops that we do, customer journey mapping capabilities and other things to ultimately guide people to CX success. And then we have Inform, which is our technology area. We've got a great workforce management tool called Spreadsheet Scheduler and some other technology that we are building. But as you'll learn more about, we feel it is very critical to take this holistic approach to CX if it's going to be done in a way to generate the ROI. I mean, it's a young company, a couple of years out there, but we just got past $9 million in revenue in the past couple months. We went from 10 customers when I joined to like 30 customers now, and about 10 people to now 30 to 40 people just in this past year. So it's been amazing being a part of this journey and just surging along with the surge that is happening around customer experience as more and more organizations realize this is how we win. I mean, you can't compete without it. And there's some great statistics that are out there. I mean, Deloitte and Touche pointed out recently that those companies that are identified on the CX index as being customer centric are literally 60% more profitable 60% more profitable than those that are identified as not focused on the customer. So, I mean, what used to be something that we would just give lip service to, oh, yeah, customer experience, that's really important. You know, that's just a good thing. Now this is how we go to market. You can't earn new customers without this. So it's just so critical. Another great stat from PwC, 73% of consumers say a good experience is key. It is the most critical aspect in influencing their brand loyalty. So, I mean, that's why market share is being gobbled up by customer experience and by companies that are excelling in this area, because customers are voting in this way. When you think about me as a person, when you create the experience for me that I'm hungering for, I'm going to reward you with loyalty. It used to be about price. It used to be about brand recognition. Now the experience truly is king. So it's fun to see the potential that we have to grow our business through great customer experience best practices. Good stuff. All right. And so we have a particular customer that we've worked with, a Fortune 10 gaming client. Player experience is huge. I mean, the gaming industry right now, you all wouldn't believe how big, how complex, how exciting, how much money there is in the gaming area, and this surgence of this idea of player experience. And we've been able to apply our service stack and many of our models inside of Officium to this particular example. And it told the story really well. So I'm going to focus on this a bit today, but we've been able to do this with many customers in terms of demonstrating this ROI and earning the right for the company to do the work over time and excel in this area of customer experience. But most gaming customers, and this isn't specific to gaming, I mean, you all will know, but they see customer service. So flipping the coin a little bit from larger CX to focus on the customer service element, they see it as a cost center, a necessary cost of doing business. Where they were not viewing customer service as a strategic entity yet. But a good executive was placed who knew that there was an opportunity to flip that mentality and to generate some ROI here. So they were only at 39% CSAT within the player experience, and knowing, that's not the type of experience that we want to create for our players. So we were able to come in and bring a transformation approach. Jonathan Schroer, our CEO, really led the charge. This was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, came in and just listened, just researched and understood what is this team, what is the culture, what is the customer, and how can we bring what we call service stack into this situation to really earn the right to grow and to generate the ROI that we're looking for. So service stack, it's bringing these different elements together. Technology is so important. I mean, if we look at the average enterprise organization, they have 464 custom applications, and like 40% of those are customer facing. So like tool sets are broken. I mean, it's just wild what we have done to our customers in terms of blowing out the complexity with data that they're trying to get and doing it to each other inside of the company. We can't accelerate resolutions because information is trapped and it's not flowing through. We're not curating knowledge well because of our complicated tool sets. So bringing harmony to that with a great integrated CX tool set is so important. And that's part of it. Then, you've got to have the people, you've got to have the supporting processes and the other things there to really support those capabilities. So bringing that together inside of the service stack and kicking it off with this great workshop that we were able to do, refining the vision and mission a little bit to just get that clarity on what does success actually look like here. If to use a story brandism, let's take the spotlight off of ourselves for a moment. We're not the hero of this story. As amazing as this company is, the hero of the story is the player. They're the ones going on a journey with us, and we're trying to guide them towards their definition of success. What does that definition look like to the player, to our customers? And how can we be the best Yoda we can be, the best guide we can possibly be to bring them one step closer to their definition of success? Let's crystallize that. And then being able to achieve through great measurements, through correlations. We got customer service data, we've got operational data, we've got voice of customer data. How can we now take that great stuff, all that information, and correlate it to business results? And we'll look at that a little closer in a second. Don't hesitate to throw any questions in here as I'm talking, any clarification points. I would love to try and answer those in real time. And if I miss one, Jonathan or anybody, don't hesitate to flag me.
Hey, please, just to mention, please, you might have seen, guys, in the polls there, just fill it out if you haven't filled in already, just to say which topic you want so we can just sort that out while Nate's talking. Keep going, Nate. It's fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, I'm seeing Dominic as a neurotechnologist in the VOC space. I've never heard of that before. I'd be very curious to learn more about that, Dominic. That's awesome. Thank you for popping your LinkedIn in there. So the client's ROI goals. So again, ROI is subjective. I mean, we're talking about return on investment. Well, what does a good return mean? What does that even mean? What does success look like to a CX initiative? And so often we as CX professionals forget to actually take that step of crystallizing what success looks like in the beginning. If you look at the John Coder method of change management, the most famous and widely used change management methodology in the world, it is Leading Change by John Coder. And the number one step on there, the first thing you do is establish a sense of urgency. You got to light the fire because people aren't going to change. They're not going to do anything unless you have made it abundantly clear that they need to change. They have to go from, this is what we're doing over here. Here's our behaviors. Here's the way we think. Here's the way we act. We have to now go over here. And this right here is painful. People do not like to have to change. Inertia is a powerful entity. So we got to break them out of that rut and move them towards this reality over here where we can serve customers better. And the way that you start that conversation most often with the senior executive team is through the ROI capabilities of this work. And so in this case, here's what we laid out. Through our guidance, we were able to lay out this crystallized view of what success looks like. And for us, 80% customer satisfaction by 2023. Now, remember, this is at 39% a year and a half ago. So a significant increase in customer satisfaction. Demonstrate a 5 to 10 revenue protection. So that might be a new term for some, revenue protection. So we think about revenue generation through CX, which is certainly possible through share of wallet, through customer lifetime value, through a lot of these renewal and retention rates. But we have to also think about revenue protection in terms of that loyalty factor that is there, and opening up additional capabilities with our existing players or existing customers to protect the revenue that we would have had if we could deliver this great customer experience. So being able to quantify that. So that 5 to 10 revenue protection, which is represented in millions of dollars in this case by 2023, create a next generation technology stack to gain a 360-degree view of the player. What a cool concept. As we think about voice of customer, we want to have a 360-degree view of the customer. In other words, we know every element of their journey. So often we confine ourselves to a couple touch points where we have what I like to call a VOC trigger, whether it's a survey or the ability to take a recorded call and to analyze that through automated means and get a form of customer sentiment. But we might only have a couple of those on the journey, which does not give us a 360-degree view. If we don't understand the behaviors that our customers are demonstrating in the means of their loyalty, in the means of their share of wallet, then we have not gained yet the intelligence we need to really drive this forward. And then achieve a 35% customer service automation by 2023. So now we're moving into an efficiency category. So Jonathan, on his opening slide there, he talked about reducing cost through great CX, but then also revenue generation. This falls in that first category of being able to reduce some cost through great efficiency. If any of you have seen Art Brine, so he wrote the book, The Lean Startup, which has become a bit of a phenomenon, especially inside of startup organizations and small to medium-sized businesses. But I love what he talks about when he thinks about Lean Six Sigma. So he talks about it's eliminating waste so that we can maximize customer value. Because if you think about inflated costs inside of an organization, who ultimately at the end of the day is paying the price for our poor efficiency? It is the customer. They're going to have to pay more for the same products and services, pay more for the same capabilities. They're going to have a lesser product because we ultimately wasted over here so that we weren't able to deliver as much to them over here. So when we do these things through great automation, through great Lean Six Sigma mentalities, we are absolutely maximizing customer value. And then that last but not least at all, we had to anchor this with the actual people inside of the customer service environment that were supporting these players. It is impossible to achieve these objectives like this without first designing the experience for these agents that are actually doing this experience every day, that are giving this gift to the player, to the customer. It starts in the house, as Denise Leon would say in her brilliant book, Fusion. Let's create a compelling experience here that can be given authentically to the player, to the customer here, but they can't give that gift if they haven't experienced it themselves. I would definitely check out Fusion by Denise Leon if you hadn't already seen that. And then this term super fan. So not quite as cool as James Dawkins hyper fans, but that ultimately is what we know is going to create LTV, lifetime value, and create ambassadors, player ambassadors that are going to go and bring more people into the game and create better interactions in the game and widen the economy of the game. So the result, I mean, let's look here. We have now gone from 39% to 91% CSAT in this short time. So we were able to absolutely accelerate beyond that original objective there, which is so exciting. LTV increased between 10 and 15% for players who report receiving great service. So this is a magical correlation right here, where we were able to demonstrate when we serve our players really well, this CSAT increase right here, 31 to 91, what does that actually mean? Because customer satisfaction isn't a number that by itself impacts any business outcome. But what we did is take that. Now let's look at LTV. These that are highly satisfied, that are having a great support experience, they are increasing their spend. They're in the game longer, they're spending more, their loyalty factor is there. And this number, this 10 to 15%, is representing millions of dollars that we were able to make happen through this transformation effort. But then I just love this one too. I mean, we did what we set out to do in the employee experience. The ENPS increased from 15 to 38% for these employees that are on the team. So we made a significant impact on the employee experience as well, so they have a better capability to deliver on the objective. So how did we do this? This is a great result. This is awesome. But let's get more specific about how it actually happened. Some findings were these. They had an amazingly talented group of people. Their heart is in the right place for the company and for the players, but they didn't know how to mobilize it yet. They needed to be crystallized or guided in terms of how to tell the story to the executive team, to have a story at all, really, because it's really easy for us to just, especially in a customer service environment, just to survive. Because problems roll downhill to customer service. I mean, that's like the nature of the work. We spend so much time in cleanup mode, from the product broke last night and marketing pre-released a campaign notification that shouldn't have gone out yet, and the finance team didn't process that invoice correctly, and all the sales team set an expectation that they couldn't deliver on. And by the way, that sales rep got fired 2 weeks ago. Who do you think they're going to call now? Customer service. So all these problems get absorbed into customer service, and it's hard for us to switch the mentality to become more proactive and more strategic. So we had to help them to do that and be like, just existing, just handling all these problems, that's not enough. That's not how we achieve these objectives and ultimately create a better player experience. So shifting that mentality. And then there was some key roles missing. Workforce management's important. I mean, when we want to talk about cost savings, I mean, it's amazing how much cost savings were represented in the efficiencies that we gained through having the right resources in the right place at the right time. I mean, workforce management is one of those things where we kind of shirk it or do kind of a marginal job at it, and it represents so much waste. So having a dedicated WFM tool, leveraging our resource, our technology here too, in the side of the service stack was a huge part of that revenue protection. And then training and quality. I was thrilled. I got to jump hands-on into the training part with this client and had so much fun, still having so much fun doing that, setting up a true training mentality inside of the department. And it's not the type of training where it's just, all right, well, CYA, let's cover our butts here. We have these legal requirements over here. Go and take this 20-minute course in the LMS around anti-harassment. Those things are important. I'm not saying at all not to do that. Definitely do that. But that was training. And so it's going from just that basic element of training to let's get people excited about the work they get to do. Let's make them energized in terms of they were here in their career, and now through the knowledge and skills that they've gained through everything they're getting to do and the training that we're investing in them, they're now up here, and that's something to celebrate. I mean, they are more capable as a professional, and getting that excitement and curiosity going. That's what a great training department will do. And then quality and analytics. I mean, that analytics piece is so important. You can't know the ROI unless you start with a good baseline of data. You have to have that analytics component in the beginning. Otherwise, when you start making these great changes, you don't get to take credit for them. If you're waiting, if right now you're like, I'm starting the CX initiative, we don't have the voice of customer data yet. That'll come, a year from now, we'll start to be able to measure some of these things. No, accelerate that piece, insist, put your foot down there on getting some of those VOC metrics in place, because when you start to make changes, you have to know if those changes are actually improving your customers' lives or not. You don't get to start making changes yet unless those analytics are there in the beginning. And then when it comes to the technology, it was siloed. I mentioned how complex most of our tool sets are. Simplifying that, having better information flow through, curating knowledge better, and generating better product information so that our agents could serve these players better. They had more capabilities through better tools. There's some great 8x8 data that's out there. They came out with a workforce management report, I guess it was 2019, might have been 2020, indicating that the average agent spends between 30 minutes and 2 hours every day searching for information that's trapped inside of a person because it's not in a tool, or it might be in a tool, but they don't know which one, or they can't access it, or it doesn't integrate. So, I mean, just think about the math on that. If we just say an hour, every agent every day, an hour, just stuck trying to find information, whoosh, I mean, tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars wasted through a poorly integrated technology. So the analytics capability hindered again due to lack of integrations and not having the data structure in place. So having the right tools there made that possible, and then not operating with the top quadrant on CRM. I mean, CRM has to have, we've been talking about omni-channel for so long, and just the importance of guiding customers to the best resolution path, to use an effortless experience-ism, another great resource that's out there. You've got to have those channels in place and those efficiencies there if you're going to be able to move forward. These are kind of like the table stakes things that has to be there. And then within process, it's just about alignment. I mean, that's what Jonathan, our CEO, did so well, was getting people on the same page. When he did the original workshop, there was something at the end that he did. It was like an all-in token. Like we have together decided what these KPIs are, what success looks like to us. Are you going to be a part of this journey with us? And if yes, I want you to put your token in right now. You're cashing the whole thing in, that you're going to be all in to help us to achieve this. And that was everything from executives down to like frontline customer service people, because they're all equally as important in being able to deliver this experience that we want to create. So everybody needed to be all in, and he guided that. And because we had some folks that were missing in terms of those critical gaps, we brought those in. And project management was such a huge part of this. We got a really good project manager in right away. And it was clarity and communication. It was accountability that was generated through that project manager. You, as a CX leader, should not try to double as a project manager. You can do that to some degree, but like, you need a dedicated project management capability who has truly that skill set and the time and capability to just bring all these things together. Here's what we're doing, communicating it out to the whole group. Here's the gaps. Here's what we need to do now. By the way, have you done this? And getting people on the same page together. It's through that repetition. It's through that change management capability that is how you truly follow through. As CX professionals, and I'm guilty of this, usually we're great at casting the vision in the beginning and getting people excited. Let's light the fire. Woohoo! Let's serve customers so well. And then it can fall apart because we didn't have the change management component. So that is so important. So wrapping up here, this is the beginning of the transformation. And we've been able to do so much with this awesome organization, but we're keeping that long-term view and knowing that there's so much more that we can do in the future to continue to improve that player experience, and being able to apply this with so many of our other customers as well. But my challenge to you, my core challenge, is find these correlations between the great work that you're doing, the improvements that you're making to the lives of your customers. How can you correlate that to customer lifetime value, renewal and retention rate, share of wallet and these other things, and bring this change management maturity that is there, this voice of customer maturity, to be able to measure it. That is how you earn the right to do this work. That is how you break that evil statistic that the average tenure of a CX professional is like only 2 years, according to Customer Think and some Bob Thompson research. It's because we're not succeeding in demonstrating the true value of the work. So that is my call to action for you.
CX Centric Conversation.